Welcome back to our trip down memory lane. In part 1, we looked back at everything from the sound of a dial-up modem to the ritual of a Friday night at Blockbuster. But the 1990s had so many more essential items that have now completely vanished into thin air. Are you ready to dive into 10 more relics from a time when technology was clunky, toys were weird, and we loved every minute of it? Let's begin. AOL free trial CDs. There was a time in the mid-90s when the mail wasn't just bills and junk mail. It was a source of endless possibility, delivered in a slim paper sleeve or a tin case. We are talking, of course, about the AOL free trial CD. They were absolutely everywhere. You got them in the mail, they fell out of magazines, and people used them as coasters. These discs promised hundreds, sometimes thousands, of free hours on the internet. For many American families, this was their very first gateway to the online world. You would pop the disc into your computer's CD-ROM drive, install the software, and after listening to that dial-up modem scream, you would be greeted by 3 magic words. You've got mail. You could enter a chat room and talk to complete strangers from across the country. A concept that felt both thrilling and slightly dangerous. The CD itself was disposable, but the world it opened up felt infinite. It was a brilliant marketing strategy that flooded the country with internet access, turning America online into a household name before it, too, became a relic of the past. Bulky camcorders. Before your phone could shoot video in stunning 4K resolution, capturing family memories was a serious commitment. It required hauling around a hefty, shoulder-mounted camcorder. These devices were bulky, heavy, and made every family event feel like a major Hollywood production. You became the designated family videographer, with the camera practically glued to your shoulder, documenting hours of birthday parties, holiday gatherings, and vacations. The tapes were big, the batteries died quickly, and the built-in microphone picked up every rustle of wind and background conversation. The zoom feature was often shaky and hard to control, resulting in dizzying shots that zoomed in and out with nauseating speed. You'd spend the whole event watching it through a tiny, black and white viewfinder instead of experiencing it with your own eyes. Then you'd have a collection of tapes filled with shaky, grainy footage of your pets doing absolutely nothing, and your relatives waving awkwardly at the camera. These clunky machines were the height of home movie technology, a clumsy but beloved way to make sure our most precious moments were preserved on magnetic tape forever. Answering machines. There was a unique kind of suspense in coming home in the 90s and seeing that little red light blinking on your answering machine. That blinking light meant someone had called, someone had left a message, and now you had to uncover the mystery. Before voicemail was built into every phone, these machines were essential. They were physical boxes connected to your landline, operating with 1 or 2 tiny cassette tapes inside. The ritual was universal. You would press the play button and hear the soft whir of the tape rewinding, followed by the recorded voice of a friend, a family member, or a telemarketer. It was the only way to catch a missed call. It also gave us the power to screen our calls, listening as someone left a message and deciding in real time whether we actually wanted to pick up. Of course, this led to the classic, awkward moment of picking up mid-message and saying, "Oh hi, I was just getting in." It was a clunky, tape-based system that turned every missed call into a tiny, suspenseful radio play. The Nintendo Game Boy. In 1989, Nintendo released a device that would define portable gaming for an entire generation. The Game Boy. This chunky gray brick, with its iconic green-tinted monochrome screen and purple buttons, was nothing short of a revolution. It wasn't the first handheld game system, but it was the first one that got everything right. It was durable enough to survive being dropped, and its battery life, powered by 4 AA batteries, felt like it lasted an eternity compared to its competitors. The graphics were simple, but the games were legendary. The endlessly addictive puzzle game Tetris came bundled with the console, and its theme music is now burned into the memory of millions. Soon after came Super Mario Land and The Legend of Zelda, proving you could have grand adventures on a tiny screen. The Game Boy wasn't just for solo play. With a link cable, you could connect with a friend for head-to-head competition, a feature that felt like pure magic. It was a constant companion on long car rides, at school recess, and under the covers with a flashlight long after bedtime. In the late 1990s, America was gripped by a speculative frenzy. But it wasn't about stocks or real estate. It was about small, pellet-filled stuffed animals. Beanie Babies, created by Ty Warner, were not just toys. They were a full-blown cultural phenomenon. Each animal had its own name, a poem, and a birthday printed on the iconic heart-shaped tag. The key to the craze was manufactured scarcity. Ty would retire certain characters, making them instantly more valuable on the secondary market. Adults, convinced these toys were a legitimate investment that would pay for their kids' college education, started hoarding them. People would line up for hours when new shipments arrived at stores. Price guides were published, and rare Beanie Babies, like Princess the Bear, were selling for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars online. It was a bubble of epic proportions, driven by a collective belief that these $5 toys were the next big thing. Of course, like all bubbles, it eventually burst, leaving millions of people with boxes of once sought-after, now nearly worthless, stuffed animals. It was the decade's most adorable and misguided financial investment. The 3.5-inch floppy disk, the save icon on your computer today, that's a picture of a floppy disk. For the entire 1990s, these small, hard-cased plastic squares were the primary way we stored and transported our digital lives. With a whopping capacity of 1.44 megabytes, a single disk could hold a school paper, a few low-resolution images, or a simple computer game. The physical act of using them was a ritual. You would slide the disk into the drive and hear a satisfying click, followed by the whirring and grinding sounds of the computer reading the data. They were essential for everything: turning in homework, sharing files with friends, or installing new software, which often came in a box containing 10 or more disks that you had to insert one by one. They were notoriously unreliable. A single speck of dust, a nearby magnet, or just bad luck could corrupt the disk and erase hours of your hard work. Yet, for a decade, these little squares were the symbol of digital data itself. They were the tangible, clickable, and often corruptible building blocks of the personal computer revolution. Furby. If you thought the Tamagotchi was high maintenance, you weren't prepared for the Furby. This toy, released in 1998, was a furry, owl-like robotic creature with big, blinking eyes and a beak that moved when it talked. It was an instant sensation and the must-have toy of the holiday season. What made Furby so unique and slightly creepy was that it seemed intelligent. It responded to touch, light, and sound. When you first got it, it spoke its own language, Furbish, but over time, it would learn English phrases. This made it feel like it was actually growing and evolving, but the novelty often wore off when you realized it never, ever shut up. Furbies were famous for waking up and starting to talk in the middle of the night from inside a dark closet, terrifying both kids and parents. There were even rumors that they could repeat secret conversations, leading to them being banned from the Pentagon and other government facilities. The Furby was less a toy and more a weird, furry, chatty roommate that you could never get to be quiet. Mini discs. In the 90s, we had the portability of cassettes and the digital quality of CDs. Sony, in its quest for perfection, tried to create a format that combined the best of both worlds. The result was the mini disc. Released in 1992, these were small, square cartridges that housed a magneto-optical disc. They were amazing. They offered near CD quality sound. You could record on them like a cassette. You could edit tracks directly on the disc, and they were much more durable and portable than a CD. On paper, it was the perfect format. So why did it fail to catch on in the United States? It was caught in a tough spot. It was significantly more expensive than both CDs and cassettes. Most people had already invested heavily in their CD collections and players. And just as it was trying to gain a foothold, the MP3 revolution began, making any form of physical media start to look obsolete. The mini disc was a brilliant piece of engineering that solved yesterday's problems, just as tomorrow's technology was arriving. Cereal box toys. Breakfast in the 1990s was more than just a meal. It was a treasure hunt. The main attraction was often not the cereal itself, but the promise of the cheap plastic prize hidden inside the box. It was a morning ritual for kids across the country to dig their hands to the bottom of a brand new box of Cap'n Crunch or Cheerios, searching for that prize. These toys were simple, ranging from tiny action figures and mini cars to baking soda-powered submarines and spoons that changed color in cold milk. The prizes changed constantly to match the latest movie or cartoon, making every box a new surprise. It was a brilliant marketing strategy that created a powerful connection between kids and their favorite brands. Over time, however, these simple surprises slowly disappeared due to a combination of cost-cutting, safety concerns, and a shift towards health-conscious marketing that didn't want to be seen as luring kids with toys. It was the simple joy of finding a hidden treasure, a joy that has been replaced by QR codes and rewards apps. Physical road atlases. Before your phone could give you turn-by-turn directions, navigating the world required more than just a swipe of your finger. It required a Rand McNally road atlas. These huge, spiral-bound books were an indispensable tool for any family road trip. The ritual was always the same. Before a long drive, you'd sit at the kitchen table, tracing your route with a highlighter. On the road, the atlas lived on the passenger seat. The person riding shotgun had the crucial job of navigator, flipping through the massive pages, trying to decipher highway numbers, and yelling out directions. It required patience, skill, and often led to heated arguments when a turn was missed. Folding one of these massive maps back up correctly was a challenge in itself, an exercise in spatial reasoning that often ended with a crumpled, messy ball of paper. These paper guides offered a detailed, tactile connection to the world, a sense of scale and geography that a blue dot on a screen can never replicate. The Road Atlas, a tool that made you feel accomplished when you arrived at your destination, because you knew you had actually earned it. Thank you for remembering with us. If this journey brought back a good memory, please share it in the comments and subscribe to keep the nostalgia alive.